ever wondered why some people seem to have a gift for music? Have you ever wished that you could play by ear, sing in tune, improvise and jam? You're in the right place. Time to turn those wishes into reality. Welcome to the Musicality Podcast with your host, Christopher Sutton.
Hello and welcome to the Musicality Podcast. My name's Christopher Sutton and I'm the founder and director of Musical U. Recently here at Musical U, we've been revisiting our past masterclasses, producing full transcripts and cheat sheets for them and packaging them up really nicely. And a cool byproduct of that is it's been an excuse to go back and watch them all again. As you will have noticed if you're a regular podcast listener, while we've been doing this, I have been really inspired to want to share little bits and pieces with you guys in our podcast audience, because these masterclasses are packed with gems and insights, and although the full recordings are for members only, sometimes I just think, we have to get this bit heard by more people. So today, I have another masterclass gem for you, this time from when Lisa McCormick visited us at Musical U to share her note-to-self method, which, in my words, I'd say is about transforming your music practice to be more mindful, joyful, and ultimately more effective. Lisa was introducing the concepts behind the name Note to Self, and after explaining that the word note can refer to the music itself, she went on to say this.
So in Note to Self, a note is also a message. It's a personal reminder. It's, I really need to work on that E7 chord. I'm not good at that. That's a problem as you're playing through a song that you're working on. And I highly encourage you to make it also a written reminder. If you discover a problem spot in a piece, draw a circle around it. And we'll come back to what to do with what you put in that circle. But actually use what's called in education multimodality, which is to say we're using listening, we're using seeing, we're using assessing, and we're using written language to make really useful notes to ourselves. So we don't have to remember it and reinvent the wheel every time. A note can be a mental flag while practicing. And I kind of already said that, like, I'm playing this song along, but there's this one part that always kind of gets me. So I'm just going to make a note to myself and come back to that. It's also your internal dialogue and narration. Is this going well? Is it not going well? If it's not going well, is it because you don't have a musical bone in your body? No. It's because there's some misunderstanding or skill set that hasn't quite come into form yet. Internal dialogue and narration is super important because what it does is it stimulates brain chemicals that stimulate certain mood sets. So if you're having a positive internal dialogue and saying, well, this is coming along, I'm working on it, I'm getting there, that's adding to a positive mindset with those endorphins and dopamine and stuff like that. That allows your process to flow. If you're having negative thoughts about yourself, about the instrument, about music, about any of that, what that does is actually the brain, the very deep part of your brain interprets that as an attack on your well-being. And you get a little bit of that fight, flight, or fright response, which creates tension, physical tension. And the more physically tense you are because you're having negative thoughts, the worse your playing is going to get. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you want to watch for that. Am I thinking existentially? Like, I can't play this chord because I stink, is just not going to help you. I can't play this chord because I haven't sorted it out yet. And we have some sorting out to do. That's great. Great. Okay, so two aspects of note, the musical note and the note as in a message to yourself in your internal dialogue or something you actually write down. And then self, two aspects of self. Your physical self, your hands, your fingers, your arms, your shoulders, the parts of your body that are in contact with the instrument, the parts of your body that need to be loose in order to really bring your best interpretation to the music and relaxation. You and your instrument physically itself. Some people, if you're a small, petite person and you play a big dreadnought guitar, that may not be the greatest relationship physically for you. So you want your instrument to be something that you can physically be comfortable with. I do a lot of that with ukulele and guitar students. Let's experiment with a slightly different size. Let's experiment with a slightly different way of sitting, way of holding the strap. So it's your actual physical relationship to the physical instrument, and is it maximized to let you bring out your best? Your breathing. I don't know how many times as a teacher I'll be having somebody work on something kind of intense, and they'll be like, I'll say, breathe. I understand the impulse. You're kind of like all in. But on the other hand, if you can be aware of breathing while you're working at a bug or a sticky part, what you're doing is building a sense of relaxation into your technique, into what you're learning. Okay, so you're learning not only how to do it with your fingers, but you're learning how to do it in a relaxed manner. You don't want to be playing a song all relaxed and then here comes this part, and then go back. You want there to be a relaxed flow all along. So keep an eye on am I breathing? Pretty simple. Physical quirks. Oh, how many people have said, oh, my fingers are too short, or my fingers are too fat, or my belly is too fat, or I broke my finger when I was 11 and it healed funny. All of these things may be true. And what we do is we just work with them. I mean, there's a ton of professional musicians who have physical disabilities of many different kinds. And it doesn't mean in most cases you can't play. It means we're going to have to find some workarounds if you have some physical issues, arthritis, weird fingers, whatever. But that's something to be aware of and something to work with, and not say, well, I'm doomed because I broke my ring finger 10 years ago. No, you're probably not doomed. And brain chemistry that we've talked about a little bit. Are you nurturing a positive sense of joy and flow and relaxation in your process, or are you in a state of stress and tension and angst and anxiety, which is just going to make the playing tenser, no matter what the difficulty level is? Okay, so keeping an eye on your mindset, and that will bring us around to the note to self mantra that helps maintain that. And then self, also your mind and soul. So we've talked about your body. Now we're talking about the mind and the soul. Your analytical thinking mind. Why is this chord change giving me trouble? Let's figure it out. Let's think. Your present thoughts. Again, your self-narration. What am I any good at this? Should I just give it up? Or I'm on the path. I'm getting there. Your beliefs, your core beliefs about yourself as a musical person, your beliefs about music. Is music only for certain special people, like high-class athletes, or is music for everybody? What are your beliefs about that? If you believe that music is for everybody, then you believe that you're in the right place, even though all of us are always working to make it better, to make it flow better. Your personal identity and core beliefs. Again, the teacher who said, "Don't sing," you haven't got it. I'm not a musical person. My core belief is that I'm not a musical person. Well, what if you pretended that you didn't think that? What if you just threw that out and said, well, let's find out, let's find out what happens if I actually try and make some notes. I might surprise myself. And I see people do it all the time. I've taught hundreds of thousands of adult beginners who thought that this is going to be really hard. It's not going to be for me. I'm too old. It's too late. I'm not a musical person. But surprise, they're having a great time. State of emotion that is brought up by that, feeling good about yourself, what's going on, feeling upset, feeling discouraged. Again, keeping an eye on keeping a positive environment. And your state of focus when you are practicing. I really, 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 really encourage people to practice in a place where they feel they have privacy, where they can experiment and try different things, because that's how you're going to learn. It's by experimenting and trying different things. And if your roommate is in the next room and you go out after your practice session and they say, man, and how many more times are you going to play that song? Suddenly you're self-conscious in your practicing, and when you go back to your practice space, you're thinking about, oh God, they can hear me. And it really, really breaks the kind of focused attention that we need to do this kind of work. So are you private, or are you in a state of feeling witnessed? You want to be private and get creative. My dad, he started playing ukulele at the age of 78. And for privacy, he goes and plays in the car. He just pushes the seat back and takes his ukulele, and he's in his own little world, and it's great. All right, so let me make sure this is all in the screen. There we go. So you see we have the note is two aspects. It's the music, and it's also the message, the language, the thoughts that go around it. We have the self, your physical self, your body, your muscles, your physical memory, and we have the mind and the soul. And practicing music is a constantly flowing conversation between all of these things. We're constantly informing one another.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this little snippet from our masterclass with Lisa. There is so much wisdom packed into her Note to Self method, and I'm a really big believer in the power of these little changes to your mindset in music to have a massive impact on how much you enjoy and succeed in your musical life. So I hope you'll be taking some of these observations on board for your own practicing. You can learn more about Lisa McCormick and the Note to Self method at her website, lisamccormick.com, and that's McCormick spelled MCCORMICK, lisamccormick.com. And of course, we'll have that link, as well as Lisa's interview here on the podcast, in the show notes for this episode at musicalitypodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to the Musicality Podcast. This episode has ended, but your musical journey continues. Head over to musicalitypodcast.com, where you will find the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive for podcast listeners. That's musicalitypodcast.com.